Hello, and welcome to Holston Valley Unitarian Universalist Virtual Church. My name is Spencer Conco, and I'm glad that we can get together, even though we cannot yet be together. Janice Marie Johnson is an activist, educator, and faith leader. She wrote these words to inspire our efforts to make the world a better place. We are often called to do the difficult, if not seemingly impossible, but it is vital to our spiritual growth that we not ignore these challenges. Today, our minister, the Reverend Jeff Briere, brings us or celebrates the days of awe and some ideas about finding our balance, which is surely needed in 2020. To accompany the light of the Chalice, I have a short passage by Richard Nelson, a cultural anthropologist whose work focuses on the relationship between people and nature. This is from his book, The Island Within. There is nothing in me that is not of earth, no split instance of separateness, no particle that disunites me from the surroundings. I am no less than the earth itself. The rivers run through my veins, the winds blow in and out with my breath, the soil makes my flesh, the sun's heat smolders inside me. A sickness or injury that befalls the earth befalls me. A fouled molecule that runs through the earth runs through me. Where the earth is cleansed and nourished, its purity infuses me. The life of the earth is my life. My eyes are the earth gazing at itself. We all have different reasons for gathering here each week, but we have this much in common. We work together as a church to transform ourselves, our community, and our world by sharing love, pursuing justice, and seeking wonder. For music today, Kate brings us a harp piece from Nova Scotia that is appropriate for this time of year. This is Changing Seasons. loving kindness next. Please light a candle to dispel the darkness, to honor someone or some event, or to bring light to a memory.
My name is Jeff Briere, and I am the minister of this virtual church. I invite you now to a time of meditation and inner awareness. Sit up straight and plant your feet. You may close your eyes if you wish, and take 3 deep breaths. Breathe in equity, and breathe out fear. Breathe in justice, and breathe out fear. Breathe in love, and breathe out fear. Hunter's moon is full to soothe the wounds of fall, embracing trees bereft of leaves, waving light across blades of grass about to brown. The tide of life recedes as cycles of insect, amphibian, and bird retreat into the somber hush of abandoned limbs and nests, cooling waters, and turf. A season for grief waves through the landscape, a time for parting from summer's comforts. Lamentations cover silver shadows as a dog brays mournfully. The orange maple beside the road is already bare in its crown. Skeleton limbs stretch into a gray sky, revealing large crows silhouetted in the moon's orb. When it is still night, hunters prepare to take up their stations for the morning's kill, thinning the herd before winter's cold and adding venison to the harvest. At the shore, against ledges, waves curl and crash, while as far as the eye can see, pale reflected light upon rolling water, and the sound of gulls mocking across eternal tides. The grateful heart remembers the harvest, pauses for a lifetime more, serene to contemplate one fallen leaf, breathes deeply of the cooling air to admire a stark and stately moon. Return now and take 3 deep breaths once again. Breathe in equity and breathe out fear. Breathe in justice and breathe out fear. Breathe in love and breathe out fear. About 8 weeks ago, on September 18th, Rosh Hashana began. In Hebrew, Rosh Hashana means head of the year, and so Rosh Hashana is commonly known as the Jewish New Year. This name is somewhat deceptive because there is little similarity between Rosh Hashana, one of the holiest days of the Jewish liturgical year, and the American midnight drinking bash and daytime football game. I completely forgot about Rosh Hashanah this year. I blame the pandemic and politics as they constantly distract me. But I am told no one will be annoyed if we celebrate Rosh Hashanah today. The common greeting on Rosh Hashanah is L Shana Tova, meaning have a good year. So say it one time, L Shana Tova. This is shorthand for L Shana Tova Tikatefatayatem, which means, may you be inscribed and sealed for a good year. L Shana Tova. Now, when you see your friends, you'll know what to say. One of the most important things for Jews to do on Rosh Hashanah is to hear the shofar in the synagogue. The shofar is a ram's horn that is blown sort of like a trumpet, and so we will sound the shofar. The High Holy Days begin with Rosh Hashanah and end about 10 days later with Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, which is the holiest day in the Jewish liturgical year. Now, atonement can mean several things, but I take it to mean a balance in your relationships with your friends, your environment, your family, and with your God. The Day of Atonement is a day to find your balance once again. Another Jewish custom during the High Holy Days is the retelling of the story of Jonah. Biblical prophets are predictable, except for Jonah. When any other prophet hears God's message, he responds, "Yes, sir, right away, sir," and off he goes to deliver a long message to people who don't want to hear it. But not Jonah. Jonah is different. So Jonah gets a call from God to go to Nineveh to tell the people there that they are way bad, wicked even. Now, the people in Nineveh are Assyrians, who are not the nicest ancient society. As a matter of fact, the Assyrians beat up on the Jews any chance they get. And Jonah knows this, and he has absolutely no desire to go to Nineveh, not even on a mission from God. But Jonah is a prophet, and when God speaks, he responds, "Yes, sir, right away, sir. I'll be on my way to Nineveh." But when God turns his back, Jonah runs off to Tarshish, which is about as far as you can get on land from Nineveh. It's like if he were in Chicago and God told him to go to San Diego, he goes to Boston instead. And then Jonah decides that Tarshish is not far enough away from Nineveh, so he books passage on a cruise, figuring that God, like a bloodhound, cannot follow his trail through water. And besides, the farther he gets from Nineveh, the better off he'll be. Next thing you know, a big storm comes up, and the people on the boat begin to wonder whose God is angry at him. "Is it you?" they ask each other. "No, not me. Is it you?" comes the reply. And then they look at Jonah. And Jonah admits that his God is mad at him. So in order to save their own lives, they throw Jonah overboard. And in fact, as soon as they do, when Jonah hits the water, the storm dies right down. Now God, ever the crafty fellow, sends a big fish to save Jonah from drowning. But the big fish decides that Jonah looks just like lunch and swallows him right up. Now, you'd think at this point that Jonah would just give up and do what he promised and go to Nineveh, but no, Jonah holds out as long as he can. He stays inside that fish's tummy for 3 days and 3 nights. Then Jonah decides that, well, maybe life is better outside the fish, even though he'll have to go to Nineveh. Unable to take it anymore, he hollers real loud so God can hear him. "Okay, all right already. I give up. I'll go to Nineveh." The fish swims over to the nearest port of call and spits him out on the dock. As he's wiping off the fish gunk, God comes around to tell him to go to Nineveh with this very short but simple message. So Jonah goes to Nineveh and spends all day saying just this and only this: 40 days and Nineveh is no more. One sentence. That's it. He doesn't even say how he knows or why he's there. But the funny thing is that everyone in Nineveh hears him. That is, they pay attention. And Nineveh is a big city. It's got about 120,000 Assyrians living there. But they all believe Jonah's message, and they repent, which means that they see they were wrong, they ask God for forgiveness, and they promise to do better. Jonah must have been convincing because the Assyrians had their own God who hadn't told them anything. Perhaps that's why they listened to Jonah. I don't know. But in any case, God changes his mind and he decides to spare Nineveh. Now, then Jonah gets real peeved with God. He says, "For crying out loud, why the blazes did you make me come here and waste my time just so that in the end you could save these jerks? I mean, what's the point? Why didn't you just save them already? I just want to die. Just let me rot right here in the sun." In reply, God sends him a little bush to give him some shade, and Jonah thinks that, well, this is better than nothing, and he goes to sleep. Then in the night, God sends a worm to eat the bush, and the bush dies. When he wakes up, Jonah, ever the drama king, cries, "I should have stood in the fish. I'd have been better off as fish meal than living this life." And God says, "Aw, poor Jonah. Is this about the bush?" And Jonah says, "Duh, yeah, it's about the bush. That's the only shade I had." And God says, "You care about that little bush, and then you wonder why I care about this great city with 120,000 people." Now, why do you suppose that Jews retell this story on Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement? Well, I have an answer for you, and it comes from Rabbi Amy Perlin, who is the senior rabbi of Temple B'nai Shalom in Fairfax Station, Virginia. She breaks it down this way. We read the book of Jonah on Yom Kippur to remind us that sometimes we are Jonah. We run away, we are swallowed up, and we are spit out. We have times when the responsibility of the world is thrust upon our shoulders, and we have times when we feel very much alone. Sometimes, just like Jonah, we feel that life is too much for us. Who wouldn't want to book a cruise, get on a ship, and run away from your burdens? Perhaps we are more like Jonah than we even want to admit. Sometimes we are Jonah. We look for light that will illuminate our path in life and provide windows into our souls. Sometimes we receive light and vision, and other times we face our reflection in the darkness beyond the windows. Jonah wasn't doing nothing for 3 days and 3 nights. I believe he was taking time to reflect and examine his thoughts and actions. That is not nothing. With time to think, Jonah was forced to confront his fears, his loneliness, his mistakes, and his God. The Day of Atonement is a time to confront fears and failures, pain and loneliness. Jonah realized that he was not sent into Nineveh alone, and we are not sent into this world alone. The words of Rabbi Amy Perlin. Now, for each of us, there is atonement. Atonement as a friend, as a colleague, as a parent, as a son or a daughter, as a student, as a lover, as a human being, as an Assyrian. The Assyrians achieved atonement even though they were way bad, even wicked. Jonah achieved atonement even though he first refused it. Finding atonement is not too difficult. Look for the point of balance in your life. If you tilt too much one way or the other, just move a little closer to Nineveh. Move a little closer to what you fear. The Centers for Disease Control, as well as the Food and Drug Administration, may have become politicized, so I recommend that you consider carefully what they suggest during these times. Nonetheless, wearing a mask, staying away from people, and avoiding large indoor gatherings is, in my opinion, a good idea. And remember what Zig Ziglar said, you can have all you want in life if you just help other people get what they want.
For a benediction today, I have a story about Yankel. In Crown Heights, there was a Jew, Yankel, who owned a bakery. He survived the concentration camps. He once said, "You know why it is that I'm alive today? I was a kid, just a teenager at the time. We were on a train in a boxcar being taken to Auschwitz. Night came and it was freezing, deathly cold in that boxcar. The Germans would leave the cars on the side of the tracks overnight, sometimes for days on end without any food and, of course, no blankets to keep us warm," he said. Sitting next to me was an older man, this beloved elderly fellow that I recognized from my hometown, but I had never seen him like this. He was shivering from head to toe and looked terrible. So I wrapped my arms around him and began rubbing him to keep him warm. I begged him to hang on. I rubbed his arms, his legs, his face, his neck. All night long, I kept the man warm this way. I was tired. I was freezing cold myself. My fingers were numb, but I didn't stop rubbing the heat onto this man's body. Hours and hours went by this way. Finally, night passed, morning came, and the sun began to shine. There was some warmth in the cabin, and then I looked around the car to see some of the other Jews in the car. To my horror, all I could see were frozen bodies, and all I could hear was a deathly silence. Nobody else in that cabin made it through the night. They died from the frost. Only 2 people survived, the old man and me. The old man survived because somebody kept him warm. I survived because I was warming someone else. Let me tell you the secret of Judaism. When you warm other people's hearts, you remain warm yourself. When you seek to support, encourage, and inspire others, then you discover support, encouragement, and inspiration in your own life as well. That, my friends, is Judaism 101. Our time together is nearly finished, but our work is not done. May our spirits be renewed and our resolve strengthened as we meet the challenges of the week to come. Please help me close this service now. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with all the world. My name is David Kashdan, and I'm happy that you could join us for this service. Please come back whenever you like. We will post another virtual church service next Sunday. Please contact the minister or the caring team if you or someone you know needs help during this time. Our services are recorded in advance, so current events may move faster than our ability to address them in a timely fashion. However, you can find up-to-date information on local events, social justice issues, inspiration, and content for all ages on our Facebook page. To close our service, a percussive piece from Stickman, Kirk Roberts. And as you make your way through the week, remember that you are good. You are loved. We all need a little work. And we're all in this together. There's nothing left to say except, yay, church!